Okay, the next book is a book that I listened to as an audiobook. I don't own the physical copy of the book. Um, it kind of makes me laugh. I'm very far behind in my TBR pile. And I do remember hearing about this book like decades ago on, I think it was an interview with the author on CBC, and thinking, oh, that sounds interesting. And then I never saw it again um, until I was scrolling through, I think I listened to it on Scribd, and I saw it come up on there. I was like, oh, yeah, I remember that. That sounds really interesting. And it really was. The book is called Stiff: The Curious Lives of Human Cadavers, by Mary Roach. She approaches the topic in a very, very humorous way. And she is a very kind of cutting, dry humor about death, and which makes the book tons of fun. It really is. So if you are interested again in biology and science, like I am, you'll probably love this book. She does a lot of interesting research into it, and she definitely has a great sense of humor about the topic. So it's fun, and the narrator is she does an excellent job of conveying the dry wit and humor of the author. So definitely highly recommend it. It was a 4-star listen for me. That's really all I have to say about it. It's the Stiff is, I should say, I guess, just to get into it a little bit more, is about what happens to human bodies after they die. So she does talk a bit about like bodies decomposing and how that happens and so on and so forth. But then after that, she mostly talks about if you decide to donate your body to science, or to medical education, what are some things that might possibly happen to your body? And I am an organ donor. I have an organ donor card thing signed. And so it was kind of interesting to me. Now, I mean, the laws are different everywhere that you are, so, be aware of that. I think on our cards you have an option to donate your organs, and you have an option to donate to medical education, and I think I have for both. Um, I believe so. I better double check because we have different cards now. That I think about it, and I think my organ card donor card may have gotten stolen. Good thing we had this little chat. So anyway, so she examines things like, what are some things just off the top of my head that I remember her talking about? So some cadavers get sent get sent to facilities so that doctors can practice surgeries on them. Some cadavers get used as crash test dummies. Some cadavers get used in forensic science. Some cadavers get used for, I'm trying to think what else. Anyway, she has like a whole list of things that your body might potentially be used for. And she talks about not only like what might happen today, but what has happened, historically. She does a whole section on, and this is something, there was an author who wrote a book. I can't remember the title of the book, but the premise of the book was it was famous people who had had their heads chopped off by the guillotine in France. And so there is apparently it's not medically substantiated. I thought it had been. But there is a theory that the brain continues to be conscious for at least 20 seconds after it's been separated from the body. And so this author had has written a book, imagining those 20 seconds. What were people thinking for those last 20 seconds of their life before they lost consciousness? Anyway, but apparently lots of those bodies that were whose heads were chopped off, they also got used for medical experiments. And so she has some interesting stories about that she tells. Yeah, just like lots of stuff. It was really, really fascinating. It was a fascinating listen, and super fun because she has a great sense of humor. So yeah, definitely, again, if you're interested in science and biology and that sort of thing, I highly recommend it. It's definitely a good listen. I think I gave it, I don't remember, I don't know, it was like 4 or 5 cups of tea. Like, I had a really good reading month. Anyway, happy reading.